All right, this Saturday, we got the main event of Belal, remember the name, versus Della, Maddalena. Now, this is on track to do probably a bit bigger than McGregor numbers. We're looking at, 2.5 million pay-per-views, blockbuster, huge promo. We got insane trash talks going deep. It's going personal. Just kidding. No. Yeah, this fight week has been incredibly boring, as Jack Della Maddalena would say. Normally I watch all the, what do you call those, embeddeds. I haven't even watched one of them. I don't know, man. It is what it is. I get it's a sport at the end of the day, but man, this card is tough. It is a tough ask to buy for the pay-per-view. And not only that, it's an even tougher ask because I was looking online today and it looks like the arena is not even close to being full. And people were online complaining. It's like, bro, it's $400 to go see this fight. And the main event's not even Canadian. So you're asking a lot of these Canadians to spend so much money. So let's say you're going, the average person, right? Let's say, you're not like a millionaire, you know what I mean? But like you do well for yourself, so you can treat yourself to go to an event. And let's say you're Canadian, for example, right? It's going to be $800 for 2 tickets, plus hotels, all that, depending on if you're flying in or whatever. Let's throw another $300, $400 on that. You're looking at $1,500 of a decision with zero hype on the card, no huge names on the card, aside from Aldo, but, I think he had his time. I don't think he's that... the hardcores love him still to this day, but, to ask to spend that kind of money when there's no build-up, there's no trash talk. It's like, you look at the pre-fight interviews. Ian Gary had a longer interview than any of them, either Jack or Belal. And it's like Ian Gary is honestly bringing the excitement to this fight week. It's that bad. And now it's just really unfortunate because, like I say, it's just the UFC is really making it hard to be an MMA fan these days. I don't know why that is, but I guess we'll find out sooner than later because and that's the thing. The tickets, I know for tickets, a lot of these places, I'm pretty sure they go and let's say it's the day of or, a day before the event, they'll drop the price and stuff. And maybe that's what people are waiting for. But there's definitely not a lot of urgency to get these tickets. And it is what it is. Let's be real. I definitely wouldn't go pay, $400 for a nosebleed ticket to watch this. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, I'm not going to be too negative, but let's be honest, this is a very weak card, especially for a pay-per-view. Very, very weak card. If you're a hardcore, it's a bit different because, you want to see the style matchup, but for that casual person who's willing to spend money, man, is it a tall order. Man, is it a tall order. The embeddeds are damn near unwatchable. I'm sorry, it is what it is. Let's call it how it is. But yeah, let's get into it. So, you got Belal versus Jack Della Maddalena. So, you look at their records. As much as people want to shit on Belal, it is what it is. You got him riding a 24 wins, 3 losses. And you got Jack, who's at 17 wins and 2 losses. So, they both have really good records. You know what I mean? If you're just a record purist where it's all you care about is wins and losses, they have done well in their careers. They're both coming off wins, but they're both coming off injuries. Belal, his injury was obviously a lot less severe than Jack's. Jack was out over a year, I'm pretty sure. It was a bad one. So you got to add that into the factor of the momentum and how much ring rust. And that's the thing. Dominic Cruz doesn't believe in ring rust, but as people say, Cruz is a fucking robot at this point. A lot of shit doesn't affect that guy. It is what it is. But yeah. And then you look, they are both 5'11". You've seen them face off. I know they're on shoes and all that, but they seem like similar size, height-wise. You look at their reach, Belal 72, Jack 73. And yeah, no, they're body wise, they're pretty similar. You know, Belal definitely bigger head, bigger dome piece on him, but it is what it is. You know, some would say that it helps you get more resilient to punches. We've seen him get finished before, but Belal seems to be on some really, really good momentum right now. And if we look at their last few fights, so let's see here. We got, what do we got? We got Belal here, sorry. Belal is coming off a win from Leon Edwards, and it was a decision. And then before that, we had Gilbert Burns, decision. And then before that, surprisingly enough, he TKO'd Sean Brady. And Sean Brady is no joke. But yeah, let's just say it was definitely a surprise for him to take TKO Sean Brady. Belal looked dominant in all of his last three opponents. And yeah, obviously Leon Edwards has a little moment at the end there, but you know, too little too late, man. You know, you can't leave all your fight into you until the last, 15 seconds of the fight. You know, maybe that's and that's the thing. I think a lot of times with Belal's opponents as well, they just don't take him as serious as they should have. And Jack definitely said, he addressed that in the media interviews. He's like, he even said, it's like, yeah, no, it's pretty stupid that a lot of these people are counting Belal out. And then you've seen, like, I remember Leon Edwards, when he was asked about Belal before the fight, he's like, it's just Belal, I don't care. So, yeah, Belal definitely has an advantage in the sense of probably the mind games, where it's just like, he's not a nuclear power puncher. He's not some anaconda submission artist, you know what I'm saying? So people are just like, it's whatever, it's Belal. But you know, you're definitely in a rude awakening, and Jack doesn't seem to be going that route. And then if you look at Jack's last few fights, so he KO by knee and elbows Gilbert Burns. Then you got before that a split decision with Kevin Holland, which I'm pretty sure should have been a majority decision. And then a Basil Hafez split decision as well. Now, you look at 2 out of those 3 fights with both the grapplers, Jack was getting, I don't know if ragdoll is the right word. That's a little much, but he was being dominated on the ground for sure. And then if you look at, so Gilbert Burns, right? Well, obviously, Basil Hafez, he's not a top 5 contender by any means, but you know, he knows what he's doing on the ground. And yeah, that was a really bad look. And then so he does the Kevin Holland fight, which there was not a lot of urgency there. And I remember that fight was getting booed. You know what I'm saying? So that's something to keep in mind as well with Jack. And yeah, and then you got Gilbert Burns. He was basically being ragdolled. I would say ragdolled before the last, what was it? When did it come? Yeah. Round 3 minutes and 43, he got the knee. So, you know, the 11th hour in a sense. And then if you look at Belal, right? Back to Belal, he beat Burns and he TKO'd Brady. Brady beat Burns. You know what I'm saying? And it's not, MMA math isn't always accurate. I know that. But, you know, Sean Brady did really, really well against Gilbert Burns. And Gilbert Burns, like, look at what he did with Chimaev. You know what I'm saying? So as much as people say Gilbert Burns, he's not in the best form as of late. You know, he still has heart. He still has, unless he's got injured. Like, I think he got injured in the Belal fight, but it is what it is. Like, Belal had his way with him for sure. So just on optics alone, I think Jack Della Maddalena is probably coming off the less impressive performances. And it's a lot more alarming because you do not want to be dominated by grapplers before heading into the most dominant of grapplers in the division for a title fight for 5 rounds. That's not exactly a good sign. And that's the thing too. You look at Belal Muhammed. He's 36. Now, and then Jack is only 28. So Jack does have youth on his side for sure. But honestly, Belal doesn't look like he's slowing down. If anything, he's getting better. He's getting more dominant on the ground. And that's the thing. Belal doesn't have this like striking style. So you can age up a bit more with that kind of thing because it's not as fast twitch fibers where it's like, let's say you're a striker and you're getting older. You start to slow down. It's a lot worse because for strikers, it's like, every split second you have to leap in, dodge, this and that. Whereas a wrestler, it's more slow muscle movements where it's just like drag them down, and you know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't be too worried by 36. It'd be different if we were talking about like 135 weight class, but it's 170. So 36 isn't the end of the world. You do have the that statistic that Volk just broke, where it's like, I think 35 and over, under 170 and 170 included. Chances are you're not going to win. So it is what it is. I wouldn't really count that much. But yeah, no. JDM definitely has the youth on his side. Now, we look at their methods of victories here. So it looks like for the TKO to KO rate, so for Belal, he has the fan favorite 21%. And yeah, no, that's the thing. I'll say this. The problem is the honest, like, you take away personality, everything aside. The problem I have with Belal's style, aside from Sean Brady, that was great and all. But on average, a Belal performance, he's just ragdolling these guys, just holding them against the fence. It's just, he doesn't have that finishing rate. And like I said, I know he finished Sean Brady, but for me to be a fan of you as a fighter, that's the thing. If I hate your personality or whatever, I'm not going to be a fan regardless. It is what it is. I may be able to put it aside, but for the most part, if I don't like you, then it's fuck you. But for me to be a fan, you need to be a finisher. Whether you're primarily a grappler, right? Let's say, for example, I know Oliveira's been a lot more striking heavy lately, but submission. And then you look at like Pereira, for example, right? Finishing by punches, finishing by kicks, finishing on the feet. Whether you're primarily a striker or whether you're primarily a grappler. That's the thing, it's different if it's a war, right? If you get into a war, then by all means, but no one gets in wars every fight. If you're that much ahead of your opponent in either area, finish them. So that's why it really frustrates me, because then you go down here, right? Submission rate. Belal, 4%. Jack, 12%. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how are you this dominant grappler and wrestler with no submissions or barely any, right? And that's the thing. People are like, oh, Belal, I'm going to drown him. Yeah, sure, drown him all you want, but it's just going to be another decision. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see JDM giving up. Especially, he's got that Craig Jones special sauce, I guess you want to call it, where Craig Jones has definitely been able to elevate the people's levels on grappling. If you look at Volk on their first Makhachev fight, everyone was thinking Volk would just get flatline. Well, not flatline, but ragdoll. You know what I'm saying? Not a chance. Volk put up a hell of a fight and then some, and he didn't get submitted. He was put in these crazy submissions. He didn't tap. He didn't get out of there. He knew what he was doing. He was able to reverse positions a lot. And then look at what he did at the end of the fight. And that's the thing. Each fighter is different. That's fine. But then you look at Adesanya versus Imavov, right? He kept it on the feet basically the whole time. And then I know he got finished by Dricus, but at the same time, Adesanya, I think it was due to fatigue and he was rocked a bit and then he got submitted. But same time, Craig Jones is definitely elevating these guys grappling-wise. So I think Jack Del Maddalena, he's not going to be an offensive grappler in this fight. Like, it would blow my mind if he submits Belal. I cannot see that happening. If Jack's going to get him out of there, it's going to be by TKO or KO. But I just don't think Jack's going to get subbed. If he does, it'll be just due to fatigue in like 4 or 5, or fourth or fifth rounds. And then, going down, you got decision rate. The fan favorite, 75% for Belal and 18% for Jack. Now, both of these guys' personalities are less than satisfactory. At least Belal kind of tries, but I mean, like, you absolutely suck. Like, it's just kind of like kindergarten trash talk at this point. So it's, Bilal's not going to get you excited for a fight. Jack Del Maddalena might possibly be one of the most boring people on the face of this planet, as I've said before. So, yes, Jack does have a better style, but to be honest, I don't want either one of these guys to be champion. Here's a hot take. I'd rather Ian Gary be a champion than both these guys. And that's the thing. I know Ian Gary doesn't always get to finish, but at least he brings something to the table where it's like, he's polarizing in a sense where it's like you love him or hate him. I get Belal. A lot of people hate Belal too, but it's different. Whereas Ian Gary actually brings something out of you. Belal is just like, ugh. You know what I mean? It's just boring. You know what I'm saying? So, if they're all going to be decision fighters, I'd much rather the one who talks a lot of shit and gets the attention, gets the electricity going in the fight week. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, what do I know? And then, at the end of the day, I think this is going to go all 5 rounds. I think Belal's going to go just hold him against the fence. I think if he tries a submission, which probably he won't because it's Belal, I just don't see him getting out of there. Jack, now, it is not impossible for Jack to get the finish, for sure. Likely, if he's going to get the finish, I think he might surprise Belal in the first round or so. I don't see him getting the finish in the later rounds because you see, like, I remember Belal was saying, like, he loves to see the break on the stool and all that. And then you know how Leon Edwards, he knocked out Kamaru Usman at the very end of the rounds. And then Leon kind of threw the same kick at the round 5 and Belal just blocked it. I know it's a different fight or whatever, but I think the difference between Belal and all these other guys is Belal remains on the whole fight, rounds 1 to 5. And I know he had that, Leon had that moment, but still, I just think Belal is not going to keep, I think he's going to have his foot on the gas the whole time. I think Belal's riding this really good momentum. I think, like it or not, Belal will win by decision. And that's a good thing because I used to like really, really want Jack to win because I'm like, fuck, if they're both boring as fuck, at least have the finisher. You know what I'm saying? But then I'm thinking, if Jack wins, then Makhachev's going to go up. Which, by all means, I'm excited to see Makhachev go up to 170. I wish Makhachev was fighting this weekend instead of Jack. But I don't think that would be a super fight. It would be a really hype fight, but not a super fight. So I'm, in a sense, I know it's crazy to say, I'm rooting for Belal because if he wins, Makhachev has to stay down in his division because, they're refusing to fight each other. And then you get the Topuria fight. Because it's so annoying because one of the biggest cards of this year is all riding on a fight with no hype. You know what I'm saying? Like this fight. It's funny because I think Topuria is just waiting. Makhachev's just waiting. All these fighters are waiting to see this result. Because this result not only has the effect on the welterweight division, it has the effect on the lightweight division as well. So, as much as people are, bored as fuck with this fight card, not hyped at all about this fight, there are big stakes for players that aren't a part of this fight. You know what I'm saying? So, I'd be lying if I said I'm hyped about the fight itself. I'm more hyped to see what the pay-per-view numbers are and the aftermath of this. But if it goes how I'm going to go, or if it goes how I think it's going to go, it's just going to be a boring, like, just hugging match, which I don't think anyone's going to be hyped for. And that's the thing, too. If no one's hyped about the build-up, where at least, I bitch and complain about Colby and Strickland, but, there's no hype talking-wise, and there's no hype on the fight itself. So, I can't blame the fans for not going and buying tickets. And it's like, I'm going to get a little on tangent here. Hot take. I know it sounds weird, but too much success is almost a bad thing for these companies because you look at like Disney, you look at like UFC now, they get so much money coming in to where they're just like, they just put on earplugs and don't give two fucks about what the fans think. They don't care about what anyone says. They just put out what they want when they want to. And like I said before, the UFC is just really, really, really out of touch with a lot of their things or their decisions lately. And especially with the next pay-per-view, it's like, oh my God, man. So we really need something good for 317. But yeah, no. I'm still going to watch this fight. I'm definitely not going to watch the whole card. I won't even watch a majority of the main card. I think I'll probably only tune in for this fight, if I'm being totally honest. But it is what it is. You know, I got to call a spade a spade. I'm not going to lie to you guys and say I'm going to be dialed in and watching, 36-year-old or 37 or 38, whatever he is, Jose Aldo versus the 37-year-old, the other guy he's fighting. Like, I don't know, man. It's frustrating, man. It's really frustrating. But yeah, I see Belal winning. So it's good news if Belal wins because, like I said, you got him versus Makhachev versus Ilya. So I guess that's the silver lining in this whole fight week. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. See you guys next time.